Runner's knee or tendonitis is one of the most prevalent issues you'll find in those that run and lift. All that load on the lower body can sometimes make those knees a little bit upset. I'm going to show you my methods, practices, and ways to manage it, rehab it, stay on top of it. Let's dive in. Long story short, for the majority of my life, my knees have been fucked. I've had multiple fractures, avulsions, tendinitises, tendinopathies, you name it, all on this one leg. I used to play soccer a lot growing up. It caused me a shit ton of pain. And then as I began lifting, it always caused me issues. As my knowledge and understanding of how to manage my knee, as well as getting outside help, all came together, I figured out ways to manage it. And now it causes me almost no problems at all while running and lifting simultaneously. I'll show you some of the strategies and methods that I've used, as well as the ones that I prescribe my clients to ensure that we keep this knee happy, but also allow you training hard long term. So it's probably a good idea to get a basic understanding of how tendons work. They are this collagenous portion of the knee, and they generally have a poorer blood supply than that of muscles. They don't have as many blood vessels running through them, which means they take a little bit longer to repair. When treating tendon injuries, particularly in the initial phases, loading them for long periods of time rather than with heavier loads has been seen to cause great improvements and help decrease some symptoms. When addressing these type of injuries, you may want to look at a few things like your training volume, intensity, your form, technique, the amount of volume or load that you're doing in a given week. All of these things can contribute to the stresses or the ability of the knee to recover. So stage one of the rehab protocol generally means we need to dial things back. This doesn't mean stop training altogether. This just means you may need to temporarily lower your running or lifting volume, lower the weights that you're doing in the gym, potentially think about separating your running and lifting days so they're further away from each other, and just take it a little bit easy for a little while. So exercise number one is a wall sit, or I'm just using this bench here. Our knees respond really well to isometric movements, particularly in the early stages of rehab. Holding the movement for longer periods of time allows blood flow to get in the area, while the isometric movement ensures that the tendon isn't lengthening or straightening, causing further damage. What we're able to do now is build up our tolerance in the knee in particular positions, and the goal here is to hold it for longer periods of time. Probably going to want to get squatting again if you have taken it out. What you may find is that the bouncy nature of a regular squat can actually aggravate the knee again. So there's another way we can work around it. Doing squats like this, the bouncy nature of those kind of squats may be too much for the tendon at that point in time. We will be able to get back to them, but for now we may need to slow things down on the squats. We're going to do tempo squats as a reintroduction to squatting instead. Take 3 or 4 seconds on the descent before coming back up. If it hurts you on the way up, you can do 3 or 4 seconds on the way down, and then 3 or 4 seconds on the way up. Keep in mind, due to the tempo, you're going to have to go much lighter than you would have previously. The tempo is going to prevent you from being able to go as heavy, and that's fine. It doesn't mean you're getting weaker. It just means we're repairing the damage. So we've gotten ourselves squatting again. We're managing to get our knees over our toes with a little bit less discomfort or almost no discomfort. But let's not just leave it there. Let's really get that tendon nice and strong and build up that tolerance. One of the things we're going to do is a sissy squat. This is a late stage rehab movement. You should not be doing this in the early stages if you are in a lot of pain, because it is going to hurt. But if your symptoms have subsided quite a little bit, this is something you can reintroduce. Sissy squat, hold on to something, and we're going to gradually push our knees forward over our toes, getting as low as we can, and then coming back up, extending the knee. Again, slowly pushing the knees over the toes as much as you can comfortably, and then extending back up. Hopefully by now you've got your knee to a good enough point that you're running at least short distances and slowly squatting somewhat pain-free, and you're able to get your knees over your toes. If so, this is the time to introduce movements called plyometrics. These movements are aimed at increasing the tendon's elasticity, stiffness, so you can hopefully have a stronger tendon, something that is a little bit more resilient and robust and can handle those high volumes of intense training that you want to do. I'm going to take you through some of the ones that I integrate into my athletes' programs that have shown great results. So now we're looking at things like pogo hops, single leg Bulgarian jumps, and depth jumps. All of these movements can be used to increase the elasticity and stiffness of the tendon, which will decrease the amount of force, but increase the amount of absorption of the tendon when you put it under load. Okay, so let's look at some preventative measures we can do to hopefully prevent this fucking annoying thing from popping up again. It could be to do with your running shoes. These are two different shoes. These are my running shoes that I use right now, and they have, as you can see here, a slight heel in them, meaning my knees pushed further forward over my toes. This, for some people, can aggravate their knee. Having the knees travel further over the toes may not be better suited. So using another shoe that is flatter, like Vans, which don't really have a heel, as you can see. I don't recommend running in Vans, by the way, but I'm just using this as an example. Your knees won't travel as far over your toes when using a shoe like this because there isn't a heel wedge at the back. There's heaps of other kinds of flat shoes or running shoes you can use. You're probably best getting fitted by a professional, but what I found for some people is the heel can be a bit of an issue, so opting for something more flat may be better. Somewhere here, I'm gonna have an example of what I'm talking about, but on the weeks that you do a lot of running, you may want to do a little bit less lifting. And on weeks that you do a lot of lifting, you may want to do a little bit less running. So you would have kind of a waved structure to your program where you kind of have high weeks of running, low weeks of lifting, and then vice versa. This just allows your body to recover a little bit better and ensures that it just isn't getting smashed the entire time. Issue keeps persisting despite all of the things I've mentioned. You may need to look more globally. Don't just look locally at the knee. We may need to address other areas like the hip or the foot. The way your foot lands on the floor when you run can impact the forces that your knee absorbs, and the same goes for the hip. The way your hip moves can influence the amount of force and the direction of that force on your knee. There's a whole bunch of contributing factors that can influence the pain and discomfort you're experiencing. Therefore, I'm not going to go into this right now. If that is the case, you should be definitely seeing a running specialist or someone that is qualified to look at you mechanically and help you understand and address whatever it is you've got going on. All right, so that's a wrap on runner's knee. But if you're having ongoing issues, get the help from a professional, someone that knows how to look at your mechanics, knows how to look at your injury and help guide you through it. In the meantime, you can try out some of the things that I've prescribed, contact me, email me, shoot me a DM, and I'll be happy to help. More videos like this coming soon. You know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.